So let's see.
So before we move on to the next topic as such, just one last topic regarding this entire thing. And I'm not trying to run any narrative as such,
No, 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 no.
but like regarding my next question is that when we talk about again today's Pakistan, was there was the origin religion uh, are Vedic religions or Hinduism or something of that sort, or
Hmm.
a blend of two religions or something? We see a very complex religious faith that we saw there, or was it always Islamic, or how was it?
No, so
Because today
Islam came
Pakistan is
way
an
later.
Islamic state. So,
True, but
Yeah, thousands
Islam
of
came
years
way
later.
later. Islam came thousands of years later. Islam didn't come. Islam
It came
came into
after
existence as a
Christianity.
religion way later.
hmm,
I mean, Islam wasn't even a religion as such when we are talking about ancient India at that point,
okay.
right? Islam came into around the medieval age. Approximately then is when Islam came about.
The Abrahamic
So at that time,
religions.
yes. And the thing is that at that time, in Pakistan, you had religions like Buddhism that were followed.
Hmm.
You had Hinduism. You had the Vedic religions also being followed in um, Pakistan.
What was it
I
called?
read
Like
out this part.
how Magad is in current day Bihar.
Hmm.
What was
Gandhara.
Gandhara was
The
Pakistan.
Gandhara was this, and it was actually known for one of the best art forms in ancient India. It was known as
Hmm.
Gandhara art.
Hmm.
It basically took the standard Indian art and mixed it with that of Greek art.
Hmm.
Okay.
So the whole concept of a very masculine Buddha or a more gentle features for Buddha, that was very Gandhara art like. The whole circles for the hair.
Hmm.
That was a very Gandhara art feature that came in. And it was greatly patronized by the Kushana kings who came a bit later.
Okay.
But Gandhara was like at that time in ancient proper, like one of the first great city states was Gandhara.
Hmm.
And you have great, Buddhist uh, like institutions and universities there. I'm forgetting the name of the university in Pakistan.
Taxila.
Takshila.
Taxila. Yes.
Takshila.
It was a great institution that was there. Buddhist teachings, Vedic teachings, everything. And that's the thing. Islam came in through trade, relations, of course, where Islamic settlers came in and started spreading the religion.
Hmm.
And then it came in through when the invasions happened through Gori, Muhammad Ghaznavi.
Hmm.
These people came in. It is then when Islam really took root in India. And the interesting thing is, all these religions were pretty much living together in harmony. There
Hmm.
was, while there were conflicts, obviously, there have been conflicts with even Christianity and Islam. I mean, no one can say that that didn't happen. There were crusades. There was even a child crusade that was done.
Hmm.
No one ever questions that. But both of these religions were living quite a lot in harmony. It was really the whole Islamic state that came forth during the British era.
Hmm.
So pretty much blame the British for whatever nonsense they've done. So it was them who really brought out this whole, Pakistan Islamic country, that thing. Came out around that time
Their
with Jinnah and
concept
so
of
on.
divide and rule, right? Because
Yeah,
Indians as such, we've grown up. I mean, historically, we've all had our own little kingdoms, our little bubbles, and we feel very sentimental about your areas. Even today, you see,
exactly.
right? You have different groups of people very sentimental about from where they come from, and the British used it to their advantage. And that's how they actually conquered India, right? They told this king, like, see, this guy's your enemy. Let me give you my army. Let me give you my resources. I'll help you fight him. In return, you maintain my army, and eventually I'll annex you. If you win, I annex you. If you don't win, I don't annex you. They had all these kind of deals, which eventually they took over the entire country that way.
Like, remember at the starting when Jethro, you asked me, what is the timeline of the great empires? I told you that there's no such one great empire that I can say ki this existed at this point. The British exploited that. You had a lot of these power pockets existing around India, It's been happening since ages. Because see, the thing
we
is,
still fight among ourselves.
It's like
exactly.
modern day America when there are a list of 30 billionaires, 40 billionaires in their country, all giants and
Hmm,
doing their own stuff.
See, the thing is, India, the reason why, and one of the big reasons as to why Indian empires never grew to something like the size of Rome or the Mongol Empire or the British Empire is because of a very simple thing.
you're too busy
India
fighting each other.
has, no, not necessarily. Like you had Mauryan Empire, you had the Gupta Empire, which were extremely powerful. But the thing is, India was pretty much self-sufficient.
Sufficient.
Hmm,
The
They had
Indian subcontinent has everything that a guy can dream for. You want to go on a desert safari, go to the Thar Desert. You want to go to
yeah.
rainforests, go to the east. You want to go mountain climbing, go to the Himalayas. You want to go trekking in the hills, go down south. You have everything
On the beach, you
and
have a
more
lot
than
of
what you
beach.
can wish for. You have beaches also, chalo sunbathing bhi ho jayega.
Hmm,
You have river rafting also. I mean, come on, yeah, this is like the perfect tourist location. The thing is that India was pretty much self-sufficient. As a ruler, I did not need to have to look beyond my borders
hmm,
for finding agricultural land or finding natural resources. Everything I needed was pretty much where I need not have. Why go through all the pain of conquering Afghanistan? Why go through the pain of pushing through the Himalayas and conquering China? अरे already है ना इधर land agriculture के लिए. Now see, the Britishers decided, you know what, let's conquer more stuff.
Hmm.
And there's of course theories as to why they did that, mercantilism, etc. That why they wanted these colonies. Basically, they
Is that
wanted
why
gold.
also India has been one of the richest countries in the ancient world, where we used to handle world trade?
wasn't it like
Going to
33% of global GDP or something?
2020.
23 or 33, it's one of them. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
and I think because
Then
even because we are so blessed with natural resources that we could actually go and sell this to the world for
India was
so
called the
many
Sone
thousands.
ki Chidiya.
Chidiya.
Hmm,
There's a reason why it was called that.
Hmm.
See, India has always, even today, India has always been the choke point for trade. The Silk Route had to pass through the northern parts of India. You have today's trade coming from the Suez Canal down through the Red Sea, through the Indian Ocean. Then you have the Strait of Malacca. India decides to go.
they're
India
right
decides that
between
they want to
the
go
west and the east.
east.
So
Is India.
if they have to trade, they have to trade to us through us.
This this triangular country has a lot of power through trade. And the kings at that time really exploited it, man. Hats off, bloody economists they were. क्या exploit किया है. But that is true. That is very much true that they really exploited the whole trade networks that existed at that time. And that is what made India such an economically, robust nation at that. I mean, come on. You had golden thrones, you had thrones with emeralds and yeah, I can't even imagine the amount of riches that these people.
Padmanabhan Swami Temple, case in point.
Yes, simple. So
But okay, coming to now trade,
everything.
Amir, I think
Yes.
let's start with Roman trade,
Hmm.
which is one of the main topics over here. And what do you, because see, in India, we always assumed that trade, it came after Alexander came in, right? Which somewhat is true. Like we started actually mingling with the Romans and the Greeks after Alexander, but before him also, I guess that we had established trade routes with them in South India, near
Yes.
Kerala, modern day Kerala. So Amir, you want to go ahead?
So just to give a bit of background as to how exactly I got into reading this Roman trade. So these comics, Asterix and Obelix, right? Asterix comics. So in that there was this comic, Asterix and the Flying Carpet, where Asterix, Obelix, get a fix, the old bearded guy, they sit on this flying carpet and come to India,
Hmm.
and the whole adventure over there. And it always intrigued me that of course, magic carpets did not exist. I knew that. Don't worry. I was not that naive. But what I thought was it actually possible that someone from Rome could come to India, or someone from India could go to Rome? I mean, come on यार, holiday spot भी अच्छा है ना, थोड़ा उस टाइम पे बोलने का कि मैं रोम जाके आई हूँ यार. I mean, it's like I'm saying I'm going to US for a holiday and came. Come on, उतना तो अच्छा होगा. So, and the more I started reading through it, the more through my studies I found out. I really understood that at that time, you'll be surprised how well interconnected India was with all of these different states, right? And how well international trade was actually set up in India. Is there were good enough trade relations that existed at that point between India and the rest of the world. And there was a term that we call these people as the Yavanas, is what we basically call them. These were like the ancient Persians, they were the early Greeks, the nomadic tribes. And we just basically said Yavana. Now, even in the Mahabharata, you have the statements being made of, the Yavanas joining in. Whether that is true or not, we don't know. But there have been mentions of foreigners in India, the Yavanas. And the only way foreigners are going to come to a country is if maybe there were business prospects. And it is through, again, small links make a chain. Same way, it is through these small things, references to this, that we can really paint a larger picture of Indian trade at that time. And I mean, and when it comes to Rome, for example, the trade that happened between Rome was one hell of a machinery. Now the thing is, Roman trade started around the time of the Greeks, before the time of the Greeks, and extended a little beyond the time of like it was before Alexander and uske baad ka bhi hua. Right. So I will give you the simplest example. So now overland trade routes in India were a bit of a problem for Rome. Now why is that? Between India and between Rome, there was the Great Persian Empire. You had all the nomadic tribes. Now the last thing a caravan wants to see is, these, if any one of you have seen Game of Thrones, if any one of you have seen Game of Thrones, you really don't want the howling Dothraki to come charging down at you, trying to, raid you. And that is pretty much what was happening to trade routes over land. So Romans said, land nahi hai, to what's the other mode of transportation? Sadly, we didn't have any flying carpets. That would have been a great advantage. But then we said, you know what? Let's go through the sea. So the Romans came down from Rome to Alexandria, Egypt. And it is at Egypt where the goods were unloaded, transported across Egypt down to the Red Sea. It was at the Red Sea where these were loaded onto much larger ocean-going ships. And these ships basically came down from the Red Sea, down to the western coast of India, especially towards the south and towards the north, which is approximately where Gujarat is. That is basically the two routes that these trade ships took. And the interesting thing is, these ships brought, of course, they got a lot of different goods, but most of it was gold and precious metals. I mean, so much so that even, Aristotle and Plato actually said that they're draining our gold. It was that bad. Okay. We were pretty much draining Rome of its gold.
There was some evidence for the Saka Kshatrapas, their coins had gold in them, and gold is not found in Gujarat. Exactly. Silver, not gold. Silver does not.
Silver came from the Greeks.
Yeah, it's not naturally found in Gujarat, but their coins are minted in silver.
It's so funny.
It was the first empire in India to actually mint silver coins.
It's so funny that we don't even have those many gold mines in our country, but still the consumption and the domestic consumption of gold is so high in India कि घर में gold होता ही है. मतलब if you're middle class, lower middle class.
Rahil, just stand up for a second. You will see घर में gold कैसे होता है.
It's quite insane because I guess I don't know. We don't have those many gold mines in India to actually produce gold or to
We
have
don't have
gold at
enough.
this scale.
I mean, if you look at the gold mines in India, they won't even satisfy 0.1% of what gold consumption India has,
Hmm.
right? Ancient Indian guys knew this. Basically, that's why they were basically minting gold from Rome.
They had a knack for liking gold.
Hmm.
Exactly. Come on, shiny metal. You can make it into coins. You can
Gold
make it
is not
into
really shiny.
beautiful lockets. Whatever. I know it's not shiny. Come on.
Hmm.
But what I'm trying to say is that gold.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So basically, we were draining the Roman economy of gold. But I mean, come on. Okay, Romans were desperate. It's like India se aaya hai maal. It's like people ran to the markets just, India ka. It was like, today how we say, made in Germany, made in
Hmm.
Japan, it's like made in India, made in India. But basically you had Romans pouring tons of money to get Indian spices, to get Indian cloth, to get silk, cotton. India was like this kind of, manufacturing hub
Hmm.
for these people.
India
So much
was
so,
the ancient
ivory,
China.
exactly. Ivory. Ivory was one of the most and famous things. For example, in Pompeii, they have actually found a small ivory statue of a goddess,
Hmm.
Indian goddess. Small ivory statue in Pompeii.
Hmm.
So they're like, so Pompeii ka bhi ek banda was involved in this trade.
Hmm.
So it's very interesting to see that we had relations with Rome also.
Hmm.
Not just Greeks, not just China. We had relations all the way to Rome.
Hmm.
And it's impressive.